Welcome. Let's talk about some of the major issues which have been discussed and down to earth. So, one is the stigma around leprosy. So, Sahara is the first women self-help group in the Amoda village in Chhattisgarh, where people are working for leprosy patients, and mushroom farming is prevalent in this region. And this cultivation has been given to the leprosy trust, where people can actually earn a livelihood. With the early heat waves, the wheat prices are expected to rise, along with the Ukraine-Russia war and a huge overall global demand which has been put on the wheat prices. However, to ensure that the wheat prices do not inflate, center would put in nearly 3 million metric tons of wheat into the market, and that would be to maintain the price of wheat. Also, it is believed that this year there would be an El Nino, which would be extreme heat waves further, which would affect the rabi crops as well. So ensuring that this the kharif crop as well, so ensuring that this rabi crop gets a good rate, this is something which has to be done. And a strong westerly jet has been seen in the oceans and the desert area, which is issuing the warning for the further El Ninos. The next is the preparation and risk assessment for landslide management has to be done, and a memorandum has been issued where in all highway projects within 100 kilometers of national borders would follow a standard operating procedure for environmental safeguards. So all these projects would be checked for vulnerability, seismic activities, the tunneling and the drilling activities would be checked. The debris would be marked and put secured in a specific area. No rerouting of the waters would be done, and green belts would be planted along the highways. Now, in the Turkey earthquake, nearly 50,000 people lost their life. The oil terminal at the Heian port in South Turkey was affected and closed, which led to increase in the global price for oil. And then we have seen that Turkey is an important hub for exports from Azerbaijan in Central Asia, and this has affected the pipelines and disruption. Now, the next is the women self-help groups are rising in India, and this gives a socio-economic empowerment to the women. There are various schemes, slogan and women-centric themes which have been taken into account. So, some of the schemes include the Rural Employment Guarantee, Izzat Ghars Mahila, the PM Ujjwala Yojana for the LPG connections, tapped water supply through the Jal Jeevan mission, and there are nearly 12 million self-help groups, 88% of which have only women members, which is a remarkable development that has been seen. And the idea through this is to focus on 3 sustainable goals: gender equality under goal 5, peace and justice under goal 16, and partnerships for the goals under 17. Then we have Pashu Saki and Poshan Saki. Pashu Saki is for animals and Poshan Saki is for nutrition. And then the next is marine conservation, 30 by 30. That means 30% of the land to be protected by 2030. And this is under the 5th International Marine Protected Area Congress. There are the marine protected areas and other effective area-based conservation measures which are taken into account. And this would include long-term objectives, and we would have the concepts which would be set down in various territories. So conservation areas would be well marked. So national parks, conservation areas, wildlife sanctuaries and community reserves would be checked. Now the India's focus is to declare an area as national park or a sanctuary, which has to be given a lead. And if India is reaching the 30% target faster, then India can have better focus, and we are not only focusing on the wild animals and the wild plants, but also on the various forms of activities which would bring in economic prosperity, for example tourism. So saffron cultivation in Kashmir is one such example which could be proposed. So there are 14 different potential sites which have been identified. So saffron heritage in Kashmir, Aravali biodiversity in Haryana, then we have Godrej mangroves in Maharashtra, Anwad biodiversity in Maharashtra, TVS Nature Reserve in Tamil Nadu, and so on and so forth, right? The next is the rejection of forest rights under the Madhya Pradesh web portal MP Van Mitra. Those who had been the claimants can now file an FIR and reapply for the process to have a new claimant in case their forest rights have been hampered. So this has been brought into force through the web portal, and issuance has been done through the Jagrati Adivasi Dalit Sangathan, which is an informal network working in the regions of Burhanpur for the rights of the forest dwellers has been working for it. Now there is another scenario where we understand how many claims have been rejected. So the highest claims that have been rejected are from Chhattisgarh, and therefore the claimants in this region needs to be taken with due care. The next is the Shamlat land. Shamlat land is an area which is a village common property, and now for example in the Punjab's Taran district, 40-member Dalit family in the Kokra village have been allotted it. The idea is how much land would be leased, to whom it would be leased, and what would be the rights that would be given. So there are various rules which have been marked. For example, whether houses should be built in the common land or not, how much cultivable land from that Shamlat land would be given. So 1/3 of the land would be reserved for SC members. Then there would be free of cost landless workers who would be residing in the house of this region. So those are some of the developments that have been cited here. Then industrialization has accelerated in the last 10 to 15 years in Punjab, and this has already been one of the major reasons for changes in the Shamlat land and the categories for it. The power grabbing for these have started. The next is child marriage. The early child marriage is one of the major concerns. 1 in 4 women between the age of 20 to 24 are married before 18 years, and this is where we understand increasing number of child marriages, especially in the regions of West Bengal, Bihar, Tripura, Jharkhand and Assam, and a severe crackdown has to be checked. Hospitals and local health workers have to record the age related details, and then once identifying the mortality reasons, the major ones were poverty, lack of health centers, anemia and child marriage among the major ones. So these are the areas like Assam, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Chhattisgarh with highest number of maternal mortality, in contrast to Kerala, Maharashtra, Telangana with comparatively lowest number of maternal mortality. The next is the coastal crisis. We have seen that with the climate change, there is huge amount of water intrusion in the coastal areas with rising cyclones. Odisha being the worst hit with the cyclones. Geosynthetic tube concepts has been released, and these are where, especially in the regions of Podampeta village in Ganjam district, that these geosynthetic tubes would be engineered in such a way that they would act as a barrier for the waves which are coming in and prevent the land from degradation, prevent the infrastructure on the land, and these are one of the ways through which this protection could be done. Ramnath Patam is another place where this project has to be taken into account. In Odisha, the first area was the region of Kendrapara, the Petha area where this was brought in, and the Agarnasi land, which is one of the active nesting sites for olive-ridded turtles, is again the one which is important. Similarly, the Chilika Lake is important. It has 52 rivers draining in from one direction, and then the cyclone Fani affected it, and then there were later other cyclones which affected it. There was numerous increase in the salinity which has affected it. The sea fish and the fish catch has been affected. The next is tamarind. Now tamarind, even within the seeds, if you roast it at 150 degrees Celsius for 15 minutes, you would have that seed coat out, and the kernel which would be utilized. This has nearly 19% protein, 63% carbohydrate, and this kernel is considered as a very good source of protein. Also, tamarind seeds and tamarind is considered as antiviral for chikungunya. The patients are given chitinase, which is from the lectin which is derived, and similarly it is used for knee pain, musculoskeletal pains. Sora tribe in Odisha also uses it as a natural dye for painting. It is used for tanning leather. In Saudi Arabia and South Korea, it is used for treating wastewater from cheese factories, and the polysaccharides in the seeds actually act as coagulant for removing the waste. This tamarind is found in the region of Asia, Latin America and Africa, found in the dry dry, water stressed areas, and also belongs to Fabaceae family, which is known for nitrogen fixation. In India, in the Nallur Tamarind Group, which is the first heritage park of its type in the region of Bangalore, nearly 23 hectares of land has been demarcated specifically as a pool for conservation of these unique varieties of tamarind. Then there is another important aspect, which is the drier seasons have been increasing, the distress for the farmers have been increasing, and moreover there are various subdivisions which have seen that only 52% of the 36 meteorological divisions have received above normal rainfall. That means the uneven monsoon distribution and long dry spells have affected the wheat, the agriculture and the cultivation as well. So food stock has to be met, and for this food security commitment by the government and 3 million tons of grain brought into market to reduce or to curb the inflation is another important aspect. The next is global consumer goods conglomerate Unilever has established a mercury thermometer factory in Kodaikanal in Tamil Nadu. Now the local people have found this good, but there is a lot of amount of mercury which is dumped after the operations from this, which has increased the toxicity of the heavy metals in the region of Kodaikanal. The next is millets. 2023 is the year of the international year of millets. So jowar made upama and bajra made khichdi, ragi laddu are few of the several dishes which have been promoted. Then we have covered a special lecture on lithium deposits being found in the regions of Kashmir in India under the G3 grade of the mining survey. 12 cheetahs have been brought to Kundu National Park from South Africa, and then there are increasing number of respiratory disorders similar to adenovirus which have been released, and also we have seen the first outbreak of Marburg virus in Equatorial Guinea, which is a hemorrhagic fever. Also we are talking about use of mercury in skin lightening products. Now such projects have been launched in Gabon, Jamaica and Sri Lanka, and Minamata Convention limits mercury use to 1 milligrams per kg. Now this limit is extremely important for your upcoming prelims, and for arthritis there is a drug which is known as Hamira, and that is one of the drugs which have been tested for few patients, but there have been ongoing litigations and alternatives being brought in the market. So those are some of the important topics that we have covered under this down to earth. Some of the topics like geosynthetic tubes, extremely important for your answer writing. Tamarind, again extremely important for your answer writing. We have covered those separately in separate lecture as case study. Thanks for joining it.